Hello everyone! Today I will be talking about how I made this Cupid centaur character design. So let's start off by talking about my inspirations for this project. I did start off knowing that I wanted to do a centaur character, so I chose the Periton to be the bottom half. A Periton is a mythical bird and deer hybrid creature, and the theme I chose was Cupid. So when starting out this project, I decided that I wanted to include some specific things. To start with, I wanted to give her curly hair. I've been having a lot of fun doing that hairstyle recently, so I decided to give it another go. For the skin tone, I did want her to be like a mixed race tan situation. With a wide nose but a tall nose bridge, and I wanted to give her some white freckles. I thought it gave a nice contrast with the tan skin tone, and it would mimic the spots on the tan fur of the deer. And as far as details for the outfit, I wanted lace, ruffles, glitter, and gold detailing, all of that Valentines themed details. And I did especially want to do ribbons on the legs like a ballerina. And of course, if I'm doing a Cupid, I have to give her a bow and arrow. So with all of these ideas and things that I knew I wanted to add, I went ahead and started to design this character. She wears a sweetheart neckline corset top. I tried to add hearts into her design, and I felt like this was an obvious choice for that. I did redo the lace a few times, as you saw, just trying to figure out what looks best while also not being torture to line and color. I combined cute puff sleeves with a elegant draping sleeve at the end of them for her arms. I thought about giving her a necklace, but I eventually decided against it. One challenging part of designing centaur characters is to clothe their animal half. For simpler designs, I feel like it's not necessary, but I always like to overcomplicate my designs, so when I don't add any accessories, it can look uneven when comparing the top half and the bottom half, and I knew this going into this. So like I mentioned before, I gave her some ribbons to decorate her legs, but I still felt like she needed something down there, so her back feet also got a ruffle as well. Partway through, I decided to look up more information about the Periton to give me some extra ideas. Though, to my surprise, Periton are actually quite violent and sometimes evil creatures. Though there isn't actually a lot of lore about them because they are relatively new. The Periton was invented by George Louis Borges in his 1957 book of Imaginary Beings. That being said, I decided to discard anything other than the winged deer look for my character. She's an adoptable design, so I decided to leave her true nature to the buyer to decide. Who knows, maybe she does have a dark side to her. But with the character design, it's more important to consider who the character is while making them, so I did come up with a starting point for her. As I progressed, I started to think about her personality and where she lives and comes from. I imagined this gal to be a pure, sweet maiden of the forest. Perhaps she helps hunters and common villagers to find love with her golden, magical arrows. Maybe she was created by Cupid for this very purpose, sent down to help the mortals that live nearby wild forests. Moving on to color, I had some decisions to make. first off was choosing between brown versus blue eyes. I felt like the brown gave the doe-eyed look, and I thought it was cuter, so I decided to go with those. Furthermore, I had to think about balancing my colors. I had a lot of browns with pinks, whites, and blue, but I wasn't exactly happy with the way I had distributed those, so I do touch that up a little bit as I go. I adjust the tones, I whiten the whites, I lighten the entire design and add more vibrancy. I ended up making her skin tone match closer to the color of her deer half better. I thought it looked good that way. But in the end, I was still kind of dissatisfied with the colors. So I go in and I add extra jewelry, which just makes everything more detailed, but whatever. The purpose of this was to add more blues to the design. A pop of color helps her have more interesting coloring going on, I think. The jewels also help to add more textures, along with the glitter. Glitter is actually done over top of my lines and shadows, so they really stand out. Overall, I'm aware this design is extremely detailed, but I really enjoy that part of designing. I think she would be suited for a D&D campaign or written story rather than animation or comics. I wanted to make her look like a video game character sprite, like those Atome or Choose Your Own Story games. I'm pretty happy with how she turned out. She's not exactly the way I started off this project imagining her to look, but I got pretty close and I kept true to my themes and other details I wanted to add. This drawing took just over 15 hours to complete. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Bye bye.